Hey guys, so with only about a week or two before the release of Bohemian Rhapsody, I thought we might go through all the things we know already and have a guess and see where everything falls within the movie's timeline. So I'm going to make some predictions, and maybe after we've seen the movie I'll come back and see how many of these things I got correct. I will put a slight spoiler warning here just in case you don't know the story of Queen or don't want to be spoiled on how the movie might plan things out. I'll probably get none of my predictions right, but just in case I do, you know, spoilers just in case. So we obviously know the timeline goes from about 1970 through to 1985. In 1970 we can expect to see a performance of Doing Alright by Smile, as well as the breakup of this band, followed by Freddie approaching Brian and Roger with the idea of creating the band that would become Queen. It'll be interesting to see just how deep they get into the formation of Queen and how John joins the band. We also know there will be a performance of Keep Yourself Alive, so I suspect that will be this new band's first performance together. If you look closely at this shot, you can see Roger still has his Smile drum kit, so I wonder if they'll still be billed as Smile in their first performance. We skip ahead to about 1974, and this is where I expect to see the performance of Fat Bottom Girls, possibly at the Rainbow Theatre. There has been suspicion for a while that this song is going to be shifted in time from its actual 1978 release to around the Queen 2 era, so I think this, combined with the song's placement early in the soundtrack, seems to imply that this is when we'll see this performance. We'll also get a recreation of the Killer Queen music video and a live performance of this song, while I think there's enough hints in the trailers to suggest the film will touch upon Queen's early popularity in Japan. Into 1975, and we know we will be seeing the writing and recording process for Bohemian Rhapsody. The cast have also said that they did recreate the iconic Bohemian Rhapsody video, but I wonder if that will make the final cut, as it seems kinda odd that they haven't used this iconic shot in any marketing or trailers as of yet. The film will go into the release and subsequent success of the song, as well as the initial doubt from the record label. I do wonder if they'll cover the whole Death on Two Legs storyline, and how much detail they'll go into in regards to recording the Night at the Opera album as a whole. I think we'll then skip ahead to 1977, and this shot of Freddie in his silver leotard, I'm gonna guess could be a live performance for We Are the Champions. Interestingly enough, looking at the soundtrack, Now I'm Here is actually after Bohemian Rhapsody, so I do wonder if we'll see a live performance of this song around 1977 on the News of the World tour. If you rewatch some of the trailers, there's a shot of Freddie in this silver leotard, and it looks like this shot could go together with the opening for Now I'm Here.
Now I'm here. Now I'm there.
I don't think this song will be time shifted. I think it'll just be a live performance from that era. The late 70s and the jazz era won't be covered much at all apparently, so the film probably skips ahead to 1980, where we'll see that now infamous We Will Rock You scene. We know the writing process for Rock You is going to be time shifted to the moustache era, so 1980 seems like the logical place where this scene will be in the film. You might notice that I've put something else in 1980 that shouldn't be there, and that's Rock in Rio. The cast has talked about filming a live performance scene for Love of My Life, which is set in Rio. And looking at the soundtrack, it has the Rock in Rio version of the song on it. Now, originally I had Rock in Rio happening in the film in 1985, as it did in reality. But again, looking at the soundtrack, Love of My Life is between Crazy Little Thing and We Will Rock You. So I think the film will put Rock in Rio, or at least a Queen concert in Rio, in 1980. Which makes sense for the story they're telling, because if Live Aid in 1985 is supposed to be this big reunion of sorts for Queen, you can't really have them performing for an audience of 200,000 plus people just before. It just wouldn't really work in the structure of the story, so I can kinda see why they might do this. We'll then move ahead to 1982 and the Hot Space album, which we know from some scenes in the trailer that this album and this era will be pretty significant in the story. I'm still very curious about what song they'll use to represent the change in sound on Hot Space. There are no Hot Space songs on the soundtrack, but this doesn't necessarily mean there won't be any in the film. Thinking about this more, I've come up with another time shift theory that I'm fairly confident in, so let's see if you agree. I think that Another One Bites the Dust in the film could be on the Hot Space album. The filmmakers obviously need a song that is a change in sound for the band, and therefore represents the Hot Space album. The success of Another One Bites the Dust was a big part of the reason why they decided to go with this more disco funk sound on this album.
After the massive success of Another One Bites the Dust, the thinking was, we'll make an album that's slightly more dance orientated. Not my idea.
So when deciding on what song to put in this part of the movie, it's not so far-fetched to think that they might choose a hit such as Bites the Dust, over something like Backchat or Body Language. The only problem with this is, how do you represent an album that underperformed or wasn't received as well with one of their biggest hits? On top of all this, I think 1982 is also when the cracks will start to show, and we'll start to see a few of these fights and arguments that we've seen in the trailer. In particular, the scene where Freddie and Roger come to blows, which I'm pretty excited to see how that plays out. Moving on to 1984, and we know we'll see the recreation of the I Want to Break Free video with the guys all dressed up in drag. I'm curious to see whether this will just be played off for laughs, or if they'll touch upon the weird reaction that America had to this video with MTV banning it. I do wonder whether the band might break up at this stage, as the official description for the movie implies that they break up and reunite for Live Aid, or maybe they'll just take some time apart from each other, as Queen actually did from time to time. 1985, and I'm interested in how much detail they'll go into with the Mr. Bad Guy album. I have seen some reviews or social media posts from people who have seen the movie that say Freddie's solo career is covered in the movie, but again, there aren't any Freddie solo songs on the soundtrack, so who knows if we'll hear one in the film. I think this will also be the point where Freddie realises that Queen is stronger together rather than as individuals. And this, combined with his HIV diagnosis and the realisation that he may not have a huge amount of time left, will lead to him bringing the band back together just in time for Live Aid. It looks like we'll also get to see some of the Live Aid rehearsal in the build-up to the concert itself. Honestly, taking a look at this timeline and going over everything like this has somehow made me even more excited for the film. When you break it down like this, a lot of the changes that have been made from the real story seem justified, and I think it's going to make for a pretty gripping and entertaining story, with some real highs and lows of emotion, and a really exciting finish. So guys, that's about it for this video. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about my predictions. As well, give us some of your own predictions. What do you think is going to happen in the movie, maybe a bit differently from the Queen story? But until next time, I guess we'll see you guys later.